Hey, it's the Brian and Kindra Show. We are here to give some insights on the market that are valuable. Some practical tips.
You're not sure, are you? Huh.
Practical tips, valuable insights.
Most assuredly.
So we are, we did a little webinar thing yesterday and talking about years of experience.
Sorry, you're not boring. I'm
Years.
just
See there?
tired today. Okay, years of experience. Tell us about the webinar.
So the webinar. So I realized that we have some, it's funny, I called them preschoolers. So we have
You called the people on the webinar preschoolers?
No, the people in our office.
Oh.
So if you think about, we've got a 2-month-old and a 1-year-old and a 2-year-old.
Okay. Yeah.
And a 4-year-old. So.
What?
I thought, well, Cassie's 4 years.
Oh, a 4-year-old. I thought you said 40-year-old. And
No,
I'm
40.
like, hey, man.
Hey, no. We have a 50-some-year-old. And so, but yeah, it's talking about experience. So we're going to get right into it because that's what we're talking about today.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so I'm excited about today. So we've been really trying to just make sure that everyone is aware and understands that there are changes coming about.
Yep.
To our agents that are part of the National Association of Realtors. I do think I'm not sure if we really hit on that. The majority of realtors in this area are realtors that are associated with the National Association of Realtors. If they're not, then none of the stuff that we've talked about really applies to them. Only just the, like the disclosure brokerage duty still does because that's a real estate required form.
Right.
But the buyer broker agreement is not going to be required unless they are part of the NAR.
Right.
Although my guess is if OREC, Oklahoma Real Estate Commission, if OREC has made that available, they probably think it's a good idea to use it.
They're probably, yeah. And I'm assuming they're going to
follow suit
and you'll make it a law for everybody in the state. So
I would think
at our last
too.
meeting, the lady was talking about they are in negotiations to make all Oklahoma real estate contract forms non-negotiable for the state of Oklahoma.
Say what that means.
So if you're
non-negotiable as in a buyer can't change anything on the contract, or that all licensee would be
all
using the
licensees
exact
have
same,
to use the same contract.
Which would be pretty cool.
It'd be okay. I think I think it messes some things up, like auction contracts aren't the same as a purchase contract.
Right, absolutely.
Land, which we have land and recreational farm, we have all kinds of different contracts. So I think if they're going to do that, I think there's going to be some kickback because I know some of those, you strike everything in the whole contract, so why have it? if you're writing one for a auction type situation.
Right.
Because they're as is, where it is, no inspections. You have to do inspections, and the abstract's usually already updated, so there shouldn't be title issues.
Right. So, it's a totally different ballgame.
So yeah, nonetheless,
that's true.
So if they do require it, they'll do some changes. But I do think it makes it even more uniform across the board.
It would.
Yeah.
So anyway, what we're really saying is that because of the changes that we've seen, and so we've been wanting to share with you about what our actual duties are, and that we, Brian and I, do for our buyers and sellers. And we want to talk to you about the buyer agency or buyer broker agent agreement. My gosh, if the whole show goes like this, it's going to be a long show, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Trip.
So today, though, just to follow that up, because then if you're thinking, well, if I have to pay my broker now, why don't I just do my own thing and not even use an agent? And I think that's always been kind of a thought process for sellers, but now it's even more, I think, probably going to be coming up in a buyer's mind too. So this is actually drawbacks of selling without an agent, but almost every single thing on this page goes right back to also what are the drawbacks of not using an agent if you're buying a home. So we want to really focus on that. So I'm telling you this because you haven't seen any of this material, but that's what we want to talk about. We want to just remind you again of like we've told you the benefit. So I guess we're saying it the opposite way, which is going to be the same thing. But I just really want people to understand that there is value in using a realtor. There is value in having a real estate agent to assist you as you're walking through your real estate purchase or sale. And so we want to share that with you. So are you ready, set to get going?
Ready.
Okay, first thing first, lack of market expertise.
Lack of market expertise. So
I always feel weird saying this right after you just said that we have toddlers in our office.
But-
I think the toddlers in our office have a tremendous amount of expertise in spite of their youth, in spite of their youth in the business.
right. Well, every week we go look at new listings.
Right.
Every week we talk about listings, the houses on the market. We're automatically talking about every transaction that they do. We walk through, there's an amazing amount of conversations that go on in our office about every transaction.
I stinking love it. That's exactly what I was going to say. So our office dynamic now is as different as I've ever seen in any office. And a lot of the days are spent with 2, 3, 4 agents in the front room, and your office is right next to it. My office door faces where they are all sitting and doing all their work. And all day long, I'm hearing, hey, what do you think about? Hey, what would you do if? Hey, will you review this? Hey, Kindra, what do you think? Hey, Brian, how would you? And I stinking love that, because even the baby on our team has how many years of experience behind him? I don't math. You know this. A lot.
Yes. I'm like, what kind of
I mean,
experience?
you and I are like 40 years in the business together, almost 40 years in the business deep. So the market expertise that they have is just already greater exponentially than most brand new agents.
Yes.
It's incredible. Okay. So understanding local market conditions, we talk about that every single week whenever we are doing Realtor Tour. Whenever we do comparative market analysis, a lot of times our agents will buddy up. I don't think any of our agents looks at a house anymore by themselves.
Nope.
So then you go look at the house, you get back in the car, and you're already, okay, but we see this on the market that is similar. We see this. What do you think about this sale as a comp? Like, the market knowledge that this office and our agents have is pretty doggone impressive.
It is.
That's not something that I think is as achievable to find and understand if you don't have a realtor on your side. Like, I'm not really sure. I don't think if I was not in real estate that I would have an inkling of an idea of what the market looks like in our area.
Right. People are like, I just had conversations even this week, like, man, I can't believe the market's so bad. I'm like, it's
not.
weird. We just sold 18 houses in the last 45 days, or 18 transaction sites. I don't know if I'd call that bad. I don't think we're not crashing, and prices aren't shooting through the roof, and we're not multiple offers. I think we're just still steady. So people's taking the national news and bringing it to Woodward doesn't work.
And I have a lot of people will say, man, I can't believe how many houses there are in the market. And we still have, 50, 60 houses on the market,
Right.
which is really low for our area. Like, we really want to see 80 to 100 houses on the market to have a better inventory for buyers to choose from.
Right.
So market expertise is super important, buyer or seller, so that you know exactly where things are and what's happening around you before you make your real estate decisions. So on sellers,
Overpricing your property.
or under. So this is really interesting. I don't know if you knew this or not. Yesterday, our new agent had his, next week, this will air, so a week ago, our agent had his very first closing, and he said that they had actually been marketing it independently for less money than what he ended up listing and selling it for. I'm talking to the tune of like $20,000.
Wow,
Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Like, bless his heart, he went in and he did his job. He said, hey, guys, I'm not sure that you're marketing this at the appropriate price. Can I do a CMA? And he does a CMA and he says, I think we could sell it for this. Gets it under contract within 2 weeks and closes for $20,000 more than what they anticipated.
That's
oh, my
awesome.
gosh. That is so cool. Now, I think that's kind of unusual for our area.
Yeah.
But it was beautiful to see and so exciting to recognize what an even greater reward. I'm not sure how long they'd been marketing it.
I did see it for sale by owner, but
I had no idea.
I didn't mess
He said that yesterday, and I went, what? Like,
yeah.
man.
Yes. So underpricing, rare, but man, I've done a few.
It does happen.
I've listed a few where the for sale by owners, I'm not sure 20,000, but I've made them a little more money, but that's especially on that price range of house.
Oh gosh. Okay, so the opposite of this for a buyer. So how do we give the value of over underpricing homes for buyers? And I think that comes in that buyer. You just tell us, hey, I want a CMA before I make an offer on this.
Yeah.
Where does this really lie in your opinion? And then we can give them some solid facts. Well, it compares to A, B, and C on list comps. So, I mean, you already know which one you prefer, so you see some value there. But on the sold comps, we see that it really comes in at what we would have considered this as a probable sales price. Okay, well, I want to offer X, Y, or Z. And so I think that is something that I'm not sure the buyers even know that they can do.
And I say, we don't do that very often, but we do it in our head.
Oh, without a doubt.
We're like, we may not put it on paper, but we're like, oh, okay, well, this house, you see the price of this one, and then look at the one down the street, and what are the attributes of each house, and why is this one better, and why is this one worse, and do you think they're worth the same amount of money? And then, so we do it, but we can make it official. I mean, some of them, we've done a few because we need to make sure that we're
right,
on target.
Okay, next up, missing the mark on staging or repairs. So these are, again, drawbacks of selling or buying without an agent. So on the selling side, a drawback, I think a lot of sellers, it seems like we're seeing more sellers that are more educated and knowing pre-pack. But there's still some sellers that just don't understand the very importance of just cleaning out, getting as much of themselves, their pictures, their like most eccentric pieces. Man, the cleaner that you can make that space, the better it is for a buyer to imagine themselves in.
And then our last transaction, not our last, one of them this year, one of the 50, where we went in and repainted the whole house. And we told the gentleman, we said, hey, listen, I think that when you pull up to your home, it just has a dull look to it. It's not very sharp. It's not very eye-catching. It doesn't have there's just no draw to it. And people right now do not want to spend a dime. I just spent an hour with a customer, and I said, listen, I've shown your house 15 times. And the first thing when they walk with me, what do you see when you walk up to this door? I'm like, man, the wood's about to fall off the house. I'm like, yeah, everybody's scared of the amount of work they're going to have to do to it. And I said, for this much money, I've got a guy that said he'll fix all of this stuff. And then let's pull it off the market. Let's set a month. Let's get all this done, and we'll put it back on the market.
Absolutely.
It will be
fresh
shocked
and shiny. It'll be
what
awesome.
It'll do. Yeah.
Definitely.
So
that's the truth of it. So that's the value that an agent would have for a seller. So on the flip side, and repairs for sellers.
Repairs.
Just being able to say, hey, you really got to get that fixed.
Right. Or don't put blue carpet in your house. I mean, so those types of things.
Well, even above and beyond that, a lot of times the seller will say, well, I'm not going to put new carpeting in. I'll put in the wrong color. No, you won't. Just let us show you which one to put in, and it will be fine. Because most buyers are not going to come in and go, oh, I hate neutral carpet.
Right.
I've never heard a buyer say they hated neutral carpet.
They're going to say, I don't want carpet or I don't want hard floors. You have a 50-50 shot.
So
Whatever
you already
put
have
down,
carpet. Let's get the right kind.
Right.
Okay. But on the flip side, for a buyer, the value of an agent, when it comes time to negotiate that TRR, I think my favorite thing that you do, because you're the best at this. Like, I do not think, I mean, I would really argue that most agents really do not have the knowledge base that you have of how to handle repairs, what's big, what's not big. We've had some interesting conversations over the years. I love the way after our inspections that you meet the inspector and the buyer and you go through the whole thing with them. It's like it immediately puts everything on a level playing ground and the buyer can go, oh, I can handle that, as opposed to, oh my gosh, the house is falling down around us, because the inspection reports are terrifying. And whenever they can go look at it with you and with the inspector there to kind of go, yeah, that's exactly what I just said. It's so helpful. That's the value of an agent for a buyer. And then
for
the
connections
seller,
to
same
get
thing.
and then the connections to get them all fixed. So
oh gosh, yes.
There's a lot of things that can be fixed that look like a big deal that really aren't. That sometimes it's just, oh, let me go grab my screwdriver.
Well, and let me just say too. So we had one of our buyers, one of my girls, texted earlier this week and said, my air conditioner is on the fritz and I need help. Okay, we got you, girl. And we did. So the value of an agent for either buyer or seller is that we don't quit when your contract ends. Like, we are still here and we still want to help. Like, I texted someone or I emailed somebody last week and I'd shared some information. She said, "Oh gosh, this is so helpful." I said, "Hey, we're here for anything. Like, from wherever you want to get your haircut to what church we go to. I mean, we want to just give you all the information." She said, "Great, what church do you go to?" And then a few days later, she said, "Who do you use for a mechanic?"
Yeah.
I thought, yes, this is what we want. We want to be able to help people, especially those that are coming in, to find a place to fit in Woodward and be comfortable and get their own people to help them. All right, next step, limited marketing tools. This is primarily for sellers, but I, again, think this goes backward for a buyer. So starting with sellers, our marketing is just pretty doggone cool.
And it's
Like, I thought we were great before. You brought Nathan on, and we've done some fun things this year, like YouTube ads.
yes.
That was so cool.
And it comes back to like one of our agents one time recently said, "I don't know why you spend so much money on some of these things." And I said it comes back to, as an independent agent, you can't do these things. As a group, we can invest in getting our name out and what we do and how we do it, and just go out and be seen everywhere, because we know we'll take care of our people.
Right.
And we do feel like we're the best, and we do feel like that there's no doubt our service, if you get anybody on our team, everyone on our team is going to take care of you.
Yes, without a doubt.
And so the limited marketing, as if you're just selling your house on your own,
Like, you're kind of limited to your very own
we
scope.
spend thousands of dollars a month on marketing,
Right.
which if you had one house to sell makes no sense.
Right.
So we take little pieces and spread it out, and that's where we can get it. We can do the YouTube ads, and we can do the billboards, and we can sponsor all your kids that walk in here for all of their things,
Last week it was a softball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Softball
Love it.
banner. I think there's about 6 of them last week. It's the start of school, so they are hoarding in right
We're
now.
going to get busy.
Yep.
All right. But here's limited. So limited marketing tools for a buyer is actually the opposite. So if a buyer is looking on their own, it's the same, but it's not. So they can only see what they can see.
Right.
But whenever they have an agent, they've got somebody who's specifically always looking and always in the market. So that's one of the things I love about Realtor Tour. The agents that go on Realtor Tour, I really believe that's like fun to say really fast, Realtor Tour.
Realtor.
Like, it sounds like I'm saying nothing. Let me say that differently. Tour of new listings.
Okay.
Every Wednesday, there's a group of agents that meet together, and any of our Woodward, any of our MLS members could join and go on the tour of new listings. Our office is really good. I bet, 80% of our office is there every single week, right? And some of them, sometimes like one will be there that might miss a week, but somebody else will miss that week. But this is such an advantage to our buyers and to our sellers, but especially even for buyers, because the agents that are there see the listings pretty quick when they come off the market. They get in their mind, and I don't know how many times we leave tour of new listings and I have a message, "Hey, I want to show that house today at 3. I've got a buyer perfect for that house."
Yep.
That's what you want. You want someone who's going to different houses and going, "Oh, this is perfect for my little buyer Bob." Like, that's what we want. That's what we want for you as a buyer. And that's what you want, buyer. You want somebody who's like always looking out for what you need. So that's where that comes in. Okay. Mistakes on legally binding contracts. Okay. I make them.
No.
I make mistakes. It's so true. But a lot of times between the two of us, we catch it quick.
Yep.
The other day, like, this is where it comes in. The other day, we had a heck of a transaction. Everybody was happy, but it took forever.
Oh, man.
Like, I really didn't think we were ever going to get done. And then we had a little situation with an attorney, and I didn't have their contact. And so the seller had sent the information to the attorney saying, "Hey, I need some help to clear up this title defect." Evidently, somehow or other, he had sent it to the wrong email address. So nobody helped him because they didn't receive it. Then when they did receive it, it took another couple of weeks to get things moving. And when we finally got the document, I forwarded it to the closing company. And I am just going to admit right now, I did not read that full thing. I sent it on and said, "Can we close?" She sent it to the buyer's attorney, who said, "Yes." And so we scheduled closing 2 days later. I see the document the next day, and I'm looking specifically for something this time, and I find a different problem. And I say, "Hey, we we got another person that has to sign this deed tomorrow, like in 12 hours.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Yeah.
This is why you want somebody helping you. I call the closer and she goes, oh, God, I missed it. I'm like, pretend you didn't. Just kidding. So what would have happened, though, is if we would have proceeded, like this is what could have happened. If he had not been using an agent, if the buyer had not been using an agent, and somehow it got missed by the other two parties, that means when that buyer goes to sell that house again, he has an improperly executed deed, and he has to go hunt down those people that we had to like call half of Woodward to find her. So let's be real. This is, I mean, like it was a challenge.
It was.
And it was kind of, I mean, my heart rate was up.
It was a miraculous.
It was awesome. But it was so fun the way, like we were kind of giggling halfway through because it was like, do you know? And the name that we had is not the name they go by.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, we had to really do some top-notch research, guys. I could be a private detective later. That's why you want a buyer's agent, because you want someone who is going to go that extra mile when it's down to the finish line and make sure you get finished and done properly. Because an improperly executed deed is just going to create chaos and havoc for you later. So, okay. It's just a fun story now.
And then half the family didn't know who the person was.
It's done. They got their money. The buyer got their house. I know.
Yeah.
That's what was so funny. Because whenever I
Who is this guy?
called this young man, he goes, we don't know who that is. We don't even know why that person is on there. Nobody knows. The attorney, of course, doesn't know. The seller doesn't know. The seller's dad didn't know. It just escalated to the most crazy situation. But we found her.
Yep.
All right. Juggling all the negotiations. I always feel like it takes us every day, all day, way more than the 8 hours that it says on our door to keep everything together.
Yes.
I cannot imagine buying my house or selling my house without somebody else to do that work and still go to work and take care of my own stuff. I mean, we already know, we've got 8 hours a day or more or less at work. And then you've got laundry and you've got cleaning up your house and you've got pick up the kids and you've got take the dog to the vet 3 times this week, y'all. Oh my gosh, poor Tilly Bell. How in the world do I add to that buying my own house, doing my own paperwork, doing my own inspections, taking care of my lender, making sure everybody has what they need, getting all the documents where they need to be? It's like a full-time job.
Yep.
Right?
It is. There's this guy in our office that always says, if it wasn't easy, we wouldn't have a job. If it was easy, we wouldn't have a job.
If it was easy, we wouldn't have a job.
And it's
Buyer, sellers, both. I think really and truly, I believe that this is a service that, I mean, I'm like, I bought into this a long time ago, and I really, really believe it. Even when I had to put my own house on the market, and you and I talked about this, we were not working together then. And you said, you have to put your house on the market. Don't you believe in what you do? Well, yes, I do, but I'm worried about people going through my house. And guess what? You were right. I put it on the market. Another agent sold it. It was beautiful, and it was so seamless. It was so fantastic.
Yep.
So, yes, I believe in what we do. All right. So that was buyer sellers both. Let us help you out.
Yeah, I even hired an agent in Weatherford to sell my house.
I'm proud of you for doing that, because I know that you probably could have done that on your own.
I know I could have done it.
But hot dang, it's so much better to let somebody else do that.
Yep.
Okay. This is so funny whenever we say that. I know that sounds crazy.
Yeah.
But legit, it's kind of like whenever you try to work on your own car in your backyard instead of taking it to the dealership and having the mechanic do it, even if you're the mechanic. I'm telling you, it's just easier to do it at work where you got all
the tools.
Man.
Yep.
Okay, more difficulty in being objective. I think this is probably the most impactful part of the entire, I don't know how many steps this are, 9 or 10. As a seller, I've told the story a million times, and I'm going to tell it a million more. When my daddy wanted to sell their house here in Woodward, and you guys, I love my daddy. I'll fight you. He's the best dad in the world. And whenever he wanted to list that, and he loved that house so much, his price was off base. And it was the hardest conversation, probably the second, third. Now, I mean, we've had harder conversations now, but at that point, it was one of the hardest conversations I'd had with my dad to say, but Dad, like what you want is unreasonable. Like this is a real number for your house in today's market. Let me show you the comps, Daddy. This is what it looks like. This is what you're up against. You've got to put it at this price or you'll never get it sold. And then whenever people would say, well, it's a little dated. What do you mean it's dated? We just spent the last 2 weeks painting every square inch and we did this and we did that. I know, Daddy, but we waited 20 years to do any of that. So it's still a little bit behind times, right?
Yeah. I've dated it 20 years ago.
I know. I love it so much. It's really, and here's the thing. I get it. My dad was emotionally attached to that house. He had finished raising 3 out of the 4 kids in that home. And that's where his first grandkids came to do Christmas. And I mean, we have our prom pictures in front of that fireplace and all the different things. And that's what we love about a home. So when it comes times to sell it, it's really hard to separate those emotions, that memories from this place that you love and that you've built your family.
Yep.
And I'd just say one more time, your memories are actually always in your mind. And that house is just the shell. Like your relationships are really where it's at. But we understand that emotional tie to the place. So that's where it's easier for us as we're showing the house and hearing somebody go, I hate that fireplace. I'm going to rip that out. Than it is for you to hear it.
Yeah.
We can be objective and we might think you are a crazy fool to tear out that fire. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, wait, I
didn't mean that. We might think it too, but we can handle it. It doesn't hurt our feelings. And then we can help you whenever it's time to negotiate.
Yep.
From the buyer's side, we can help you to remember your business mindset when you're negotiating. Because sometimes when a seller comes back, it might hurt your feelings with what they are counteroffering you. We can do this. Let us help you do that. Let us help you be the objective party. I really believe this is one of the most important parts that we do.
Yep.
But that's because we believe that, because this is a real estate driven relationship, right?
Yes.
Did I say that wrong?
Relationship driven real estate. But the real estate also drives our relationships. So it is the same, I guess. I mean.
But that's why it's so stinking important.
Yep. The last one real quick.
People.
So
Yes.
time and effort, obviously we've talked a lot about that. But security is not really a big deal in Woodward, but it could be. Somebody could come scope your house out.
Even in Woodward, I did not want my grandmother, if I still had one, I would not want her showing her own house.
Right.
No.
No way.
No.
Nope.
Nope.
Very rare. I don't think we've had some one-time accusations of somebody stealing something at an open house years and years ago. Obviously, we don't think it was real, but it could be done so easily.
Yeah.
So
anyway, safety first.
Safety first.
That's us. Okay. I think we are out of time.
We are. Thanks for listening. It's Brian Cook, 580-334-2303.
And I'm Kindra Brown, 580-216-0090.
All right, thanks for listening.
We'll see you next time.